We go to Colonel Bob McGinnis, who is with us in Washington, D.C., retired military officer, to explain a little bit more of what the military does here. Colonel, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
Let's go through some of the plans that have been put in place by the U.S. military. Number one, they have deployed a number of Navy ships to deal with search and rescue, to deal with triage. What exactly happens there?
Well, Linda, you've seen a host of things happening around the country that normally you don't see. You don't see F-14s, flying around Washington like you did today. You don't see DEFCON 4, where all the military installations across this country and 140 nations around the world have been shut in, and they're looking out, expecting imminent attack. That's the sort of thing that the military is prepared to go to. Now, in the basement where Secretary Rumsfeld and his chiefs are sitting, they're looking at all the intelligence that's available from the CIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, etc. Now, what's unfortunate here is that we've obviously had a failure of human intelligence, which, of course, as you heard earlier, has been cut back radically over the years. Now, that failure, of course, is going to hamper our ability to quickly identify, except through forensics, perhaps, who it is that we ought to go after. You've heard about Osama bin Laden. You've heard about the Palestinian leader who spoke. The markings, though, the symbolism here of striking the Pentagon, striking the World Trade Center, and perhaps striking Camp David, if that was the target, that sends a clear message, perhaps, to those of us that are watching some of what's happening between Palestine and Israel. And having just come back from that part of the world, I will tell you, tensions and the dissatisfaction with the U.S. is at the highest I've seen it in 3 decades.
Colonel McGinnis, what dissatisfaction? I mean, what is it that everyone is so ticked off at the U.S. about? Is it the Israeli-Palestinian problem, or something deeper, wider, farther, more widespread?
Well, John, that's part of it. Clearly, we give over $3 billion to Israel every year. The Israelis have been using our modern weapons to kill Palestinian leaders, and ostensibly they've been going after even some of those that are connected to Palestinian or Hamas leaders in Palestine. Now, the other part is, of course, there's dissatisfaction, even according to polls and leaders in Europe, about the whole issue of national missile defense, about
but you're not saying that dissatisfaction about missile defense would lead to someone from northern Europe to hijack planes and attack us, are you?
John, all the markings are that this is a fundamental Islamist circumstance where you have hundreds of Islamic groups, and many of which are very radical, but as some previous guests have indicated, they don't necessarily have the money, they don't have the wherewithal, as you pointed out, John, on 757 flights. It takes the deep pockets of Osama bin Laden.